During my time was very different. I didn't know why I did law at that point of time, but now the students are very clear. So till third year, you are allowed to experiment whatever one you want to experiment. But fourth and fifth year, don't experiment that. Okay, so until proven guilty is all in the books. When you go to the prison, you see there are so many under trials. You'll realize whether they are innocent or guilty is not been proved, but they are languishing in the jail.
Greetings everyone. Today we have with us our esteemed guest Mr. Suprio Dasgupta from Luthra and Luthra, whose career spans over 3 decades and multiple industries. I am Shohini Chatterjee, a 5th year student at Dharmashastra National Law University, Jabalpur. So, our guest today is Mr. Suprio Dasgupta, a partner at Luthra and Luthra with an impressive track record in corporate law, mergers and acquisitions, private equity, intellectual property, data privacy, and much more. So, without further ado, let's start with the session. Sir, for you, the first question which I have is, for law students who are unsure about whether to go into corporate law, in-house roles, or private practice, what advice do you have in terms of selecting a path? Like what factors should they consider early in their careers?
So it's an interesting question, and it depends from person to person. There is no single answer for that question. I would like to take a step back and ask the students, till third year, you kind of do all kinds of internship, and you figure it out what makes you more passionate and interesting for you, which area. And so the fourth year and fifth year, you continue with that passion area. If you want to be in the, let's say, in the capital market practice, and you have done an internship, you've thought, you're not that interested, but you are more interested in the litigation space. So do fourth year, fifth year completely on the litigation. Don't vacillate or don't change the area, because that will build your resume and equity in your resume when you want to go out and look for a first assignment or first job. Because any partner, if you're working in a law firm, all right? Now, if you want to work in a corporate, then again, fourth year, fifth year, you go for an internship in that corporate sector. Don't go to the law firm and then suddenly in the fifth year, final semester, you decide, no, I want to go for a corporate. Tomorrow, if there is a placement opportunity and you are running a placement, campaign, there will be law firms, there will be companies coming in, and there will be international organizations who will also be coming in. Now, therefore, your resume should be built towards that focused employer. And that decision you have to make at the beginning of the fourth year. So till third year, you are allowed to experiment whatever one you want to experiment. But fourth and fifth year, don't experiment that. Okay. Now, in terms of question between a corporate job, law firm job, there are other careers also. You can decide I want to be a civil servant. So you can prepare for yourself for the civil service exam. And there are a lot of students who have gone from NLU group of colleges in the civil service.
Yes.
So it is that choice you make. You can also decide, no, I want to be an academician. Then you are doing internship, but you are also building your grades.
Absolutely.
You have to focus on the studies. And the extracurricular activities has to be looked at from that perspective, because most of the scholarship programs like Chevening, Rhodes, and all of these, Commonwealth, they not only look at your academic careers or academic results, they also look what are the extracurricular activities you have gone into. It could be like debate. It could be like your volunteering services, and that is another important thing, is that you need to do the volunteering services, so it builds up your resume for your scholarship purposes, right? Now, that's an academic side, and don't stop at doing just an LLM for the sake of doing LLM. You have to do LLM for the purpose of that I want to be in the academics, or I want to have an entry in a foreign law firm, and therefore my LLM will give me an opportunity to reach out to some of the foreign law firms, and I will do that. So I will switch. So you have to have a purpose,
Yes, sir.
right? And that will make the difference in your career, because you don't go in a without a plan and or without a goal. You need to have a purpose and have a goal to fulfill that purpose.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable answer. Moving on to the next question. In your experience, what non-legal skills have been critical to your success as a lawyer? Like, what should law students focus on beyond the academics to become well-rounded professionals?
So as a professional, be it in a law firm or be it in a corporate, be it in a policy advocacy or be it in academics, the very first thing you need to be is a good human being. That is very important. And that learning comes from the family, where you have seen, you have grown, how your family has treated your, let's say, the workers who are working for your family, how they have treated their neighbors. So that gets inbuilt in you. And if you have an option to be a kind person versus to be a rude person, be a kind person.
Totally agree.
And therefore, to be that well-rounded human being, you need to do a lot of this other kind of a work, like volunteering work. It gives you a lot of exposure to see what the real world is outside. You can work with the children group, you can work with the destitutes group, you can work with the old age group, you can work with education sector, where for example, the girl child, and the parents cannot send or do not send to the school, right? And why? Because they say that rather than they can go to the farm and earn and do the farming. So those are the things you will give you different perspective of what the world is all about.
Yes, sir.
Right? I mean, I'll give you two examples, right? There are certain students who run as a volunteering and part of your bar association, student bar association, or the student committees. You can write a night school. So those children who cannot afford to go to the day school because they have to go for work, they can come in the night school, which is a free. You go and teach them, and so you run that night school. That gives you a different perspective of how that life is, and it will make you a good human being. Or for example, you go to the old age home and volunteer for your weekend, and just be with that person and keep talking, right?
Yes, sir.
It gives them that nobody talks to them. Nobody, as the person becomes old, they become very lonely and isolated, right? Because nobody has time for them. But that is where you can come into the picture and help them, or make them feel good. Not help them. It's about making them feel good. For example, I used to do what got me the Shivning Scholarship is not my academic records. I just did at that time only one LLM, and I was teaching in DU. But while I was teaching in DU, I was running a legal aid program with the under trials in the Tihar prison. So giving them an access to the justice or the judicial system who are under trials for many years, they don't even know. I mean, all our judicial, our justice system, you are innocent until proven guilty, is all in the books. When you go to the prison, you see there are so many under trials. You'll realize whether they are innocent or guilty has not been proved, but they are languishing in the jail. So that, as a part of your legal aid program or legal services program from the students, you can go and work with them. Now, if you do not have a prison, for example, that is an example I gave what I did. But for example, in Jabalpur area, you may have you may run a legal camp who cannot afford for the legal fees for the lawyers. You can actually help them to understand and sort it out and be a mediator between the two disputing parties. I'm not saying you're going to give an award or a judgment, but mediation you can always do, right? Give them an understanding of that law. There is also a concept which I was also part, is to convert law to be understood by the non-lawyers. Particularly for women. There are a lot of village women in the rural and in the semi-urban or urban areas where they do not know what law. When you talk about law, they get very scared. They think that it is a big thing. But make that law easy for them. For example, you want to talk about, pick up any topic. You make a small booklet and you have so many artists I have seen. I was very impressed yesterday. You have homegrown artists who can draw through the cartoons or whatever, the features, and help them to understand. Sometimes if they are not able to read and write, through the pictures you can help them to understand what law is, right? What are their rights? For example, how many people do not knows? I mean, of course, I'm not talking about you, but in the common, that women cannot be arrested in the night after sunset, right? How many people know? Or if you are arrested by the police, within 24 hours you have to produce before the court. How many people know? They are in the local police station holding cell for 2 days. But ideally they cannot. They have to be produced within 24 hours, right? How many people know that if one cannot afford a lawyer, the government has to give them an access to a lawyer to help them? How many people know?
Not many.
So those are certain things. Pick up those rights which every human being has, from a child to women to men, anybody, and simplify it in a non-legal language or through a pictorial way, and do that campaigning. It's an advocacy. So all these things, at the end of the day, it will not go waste. It will add up in your resume. It will add up in your scholarship programs. It will add up also when you are interviewing, that the person would know. You could be a sports person also. You're good at, let's say, tennis or a squash or a football or a cricket, anything, or an athlete. I mean, you should pursue that parallelly. Or even in dancing, the classical dance, or even singing, right? But have a parallel something which will add value, not just purely an academic credentials.
Thank you, sir. That was a wonderful answer. So, sir, coming to the next question. If you could give one piece of advice to law students who are about to enter the legal profession, what would it be? What is the most important lesson that you have learned that could benefit someone just starting their career?
During my time was very different. I didn't know why I did law at that point of time, but now the students are very clear. So if you already know why you want to be in this profession, so I would advise 3 things. Have an integrity in this profession. Don't backstab your profession. Number 1. Number 2, have the perseverance, resilience, and patience. That is the crux of the success in this profession. And number 3, don't chase the money, chase the knowledge. Money will come. I see sometimes the students, they chase the money. As a result, they're missing a lot of things. And after some point of time, they become stagnated. But law is a very dynamic subject. Every day it changes. I mean, when I was studying law, who talked about gaming law? Who talked about AI? Who talked about data privacy? Nobody. Right?
Yes, sir.
Today, those are the areas people are. So if you do not reskill or upskill yourself on a constant basis, you become redundant in the profession. Then you will be in the traditional like litigator or some other Gen Corp and all those things. But new law, you will not be able to catch up with that excitement and of course the opportunities to be relevant in that environment. So chase the knowledge and never ever stop learning. Learning continues, and I like the way you all introduce yourself. 5th year learner, 4th year learner, 3rd year learner. Continue that, the learner, all throughout your life, that attitude and that mindset. And don't carry the chip on your shoulder after you're passing out.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for your insights. We are really grateful to have you here.
My pleasure. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. So with that, we come to the end of this session. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.